Today, we are pulling apart one of the most successful, most durable business models of all time. We're going to look at how a simple, everyday product built an absolute empire that is dominated for more than a century. So let's dive in and dissect the playbook that turned a tiny piece of metal into a global dynasty. I mean, just think about it for a second. The simple act of shaving. It's something millions of us do almost without thinking. But behind that daily routine is a story of pure business genius, a strategy so powerful it survived world wars, recessions, and an army of competitors. So the big question is, how on earth did they do it? Okay, so it all begins right here, with the foundation of the whole empire. Back in 1901, a guy named King C. Gillette didn't just invent a new kind of razor, he invented a whole new way to make money. He basically created a cash machine that, is still printing money to this day. And this, right here, is the big idea, the light bulb moment that changed everything. Gillette's insight was, don't make your money on the thing people keep. Make your money on the thing they have to throw away and buy again. Sell the handle once, but sell the blades forever. It sounds so obvious now, but back then, it was absolutely revolutionary. So here's how the machine works. It's a simple two-step process. Step 1, the hook. Get the razor into a customer's hand for cheap. Maybe even give it away. Get rid of any reason for them to say no. But step 2, that's where the real magic is. The blades only fit your razor, and they have these amazing profit margins. Once you own the razor, you're locked in. You're a customer for life. And this really shows you just how far ahead of the curve Gillette was. I mean, long before we were talking about software as a service or getting subscription boxes in the mail, this was the original subscription model. Think about it. Your Nespresso machine, that's the razor. The little coffee pods, those are the blades. Your PlayStation is the razor, the games are the blades. Gillette wrote this playbook over 120 years ago. And if you want to see just how powerful this model can be, look no further than World War I. This is where it gets crazy. Gillette made a deal with the U.S. government to put one of their razor kits into the hands of every single American soldier. They didn't just get a few new customers, they captured an entire generation in one single brilliant move. Okay, so you've hooked the customer. They're in your system. Fantastic. But how do you keep them spending more? How do you keep growing? Well, that brings us to Act 2, mastering the art of the upgrade. Gillette basically decided that they would never, ever let you get too comfortable with the razor you already had. They built what you could call an innovation treadmill. See, instead of waiting around for a competitor to come up with something better, Gillette just did it themselves, over and over and over again. They made their own hugely successful products look old and outdated, constantly pushing customers to the next, more expensive model. It was a ruthless and, honestly, a genius strategy. And you can see that treadmill in action right here. For 70 years, one blade was just fine for everyone. But then Gillette started what was basically an arms race with itself. In 71, boom, 2 blades. Then in 98, we got the Mach 3, 3 blades. And by 2006, they had crammed an incredible 5 blades into one cartridge, with each new launch promising an even closer shave. Now, here's what's so clever about this. Every single innovation served 2 purposes. For you, the customer, the marketing was all about a better, closer shave. But for the business, the real strategy was to get a new patent, create a new proprietary blade, and justify a higher price. You couldn't use your old Mach 3 blades on the new Fusion handle. Nope, you had to upgrade the whole thing. So you've got recurring revenue, and you've got a constant upgrade cycle. But the third layer, the thing that made Gillette almost invincible, was building a brand so powerful, it was like an impenetrable fortress around the business. Just 6 words. But with their launch in 1989, these 6 words became one of the most powerful taglines in history. All of a sudden, Gillette wasn't just selling you a close shave. They were selling you an identity. They were selling the idea of success. And they did it by linking their razors to the absolute peak of human achievement. I mean, their ads had astronauts, famous athletes, powerful CEOs. Using a Gillette razor became a symbol that you were confident, you were successful, you were at the top of your game. It even became this tradition passed down from father to son, creating this deep emotional connection that competitors just couldn't touch. For pretty much a century, this whole 3-part strategy was bulletproof, untouchable. But then, the 2010s happened. A new wave of startups didn't even try to build a better razor. They attacked the entire business model itself. And what you saw was this massive clash of two different worlds. You had Gillette on its high-tech innovation treadmill, and then companies like Dollar Shave Club came in offering radical simplicity. Gillette had high prices and owned the retail shelves. The disruptors went straight to the consumer online with super low prices. It was a full-on assault on every part of Gillette's empire. And their message was so simple and direct, and it just clicked with people, especially younger consumers. They basically called out the whole innovation treadmill, saying, hey, all those extra blades and vibrating handles, that's just an excuse to charge you more money. It was a really powerful counter story. And this wasn't just talk, it had a huge impact. You can see it right here. For the first time in decades, Gillette's massive market share actually started to shrink in a noticeable way, while these new direct-to-consumer brands just exploded. The king was finally facing a real challenge. But, a company doesn't last 120 years by just sitting there. Gillette fought back. The empire struck back. They launched their own subscription services to compete head-on. They started lowering prices and promoting their older razors like the Mach 3, reminding people they were still great. They adapted. So when you boil it all down, this is the Gillette Playbook. It's a powerful 3-step loop. First, lock in your customers with a consumable product for recurring revenue. Second, use innovation to drive upgrades and charge more. And third, wrap the whole thing in an aspirational brand that sells an identity, not just a product. That's the formula. And that leaves us with one final big question. Gillette built an absolute empire on a simple physical habit. As we look at all of our digital habits today, from how we stream movies to how we order food, you have to wonder, what's next? What everyday activity is just waiting for the right razor and the right blade to become the next billion-dollar business model?